There's a new AI coding model hiding in plain sight in OpenCode right now. It's called Sonnet, and we'll see how it works against Claude Sonnet 4 in a side-by-side coding challenge. And rumor has it it could be XAI's stealth new model that they're testing out in alpha right now, but that's not really confirmed. What I'm more interested in is to show you how you can use it and how does it compare against Claude's 4 Sonnet. And we'll do a comparison between side-by-side coding challenge. So in this video, we'll jump into that right now. All right, to get Sonnet in OpenCode, you literally just go dash models, and you can just search for it in the bar here for Sonnet. You can see it comes up quite quick, and then you can use it. And it's pretty much free at the moment. No one really knows too much about Sonnet at the moment, so use it at your own discretion. Especially, I wouldn't use it with some sensitive code, again, because you just don't know who it's going to. But for the most part, we're going to try it out. And it looks pretty impressive. It's got a 262 K context window. It runs super quick, and pretty much it's good at tool calling. It's really good from a lot of use cases. It does seem to struggle with, where I've read and done my research before this video, is it seems to struggle with multi-step and very complex logic. And sometimes it's not really consistent with following instructions. It only takes at the moment, so it's not multi-model. That's the other thing. But to really see if it's any good, I'm going to do a quick test between Claude Code. And how am I going to do this test? I'm going to do a very arbitrary test. So I've made this pretty constructive task list here on building a monorepo in each of these apps. I'm going to give app 1 will be Sonnet, app 2 will be Claude, and I'm going to ask it to follow a set of instructions here of making this MVP. I actually want to see how far it can get, and these instructions are quite detailed. Like, it gives a good breakdown of what the monorepo should look like, the packages, the architecture, what kind of functions we want, why the functions are there, the UI design, the flow. We're going into a lot of detail in these documents and these tasks. Maybe a bit too much for these purposes, but I actually want to see how well it can do. We are going to be using OpenCode's agent feature here, so we will be using the main code base agent, and we'll be giving it to, it probably break into the tasks, and, be doing task manager and review. So we'll see how that all works side by side. All right, so on the right, I'm going to go for Claude Sonnet 4. So we can see, to make sure everything's equal, so we'll change this at the moment as build agent. So we will make sure this is on our codebase agent, and we'll make sure on the same side here. Oh wait, that's I need to change that before I forget. I don't want that to use the model. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to take that out for now. And I'm just going to restart both of these. All right, I'm going to log in, make sure this is Sonnet again. And to double check, we can see that's our model, and that's our model here. All right, so to start this off, I've got my prompt that I'm going to use right here. Essentially, it's just giving it some information, how it should build and how it should follow, and which directory it should put in. So I am doing this for the first time. I have no indication if this is going to work. So for app 1, we are going to give to Sonnet. For app 2, we're going to give this to Claude. But that's going to be our test. And let's see how it both do. All right, just to see how long each one takes for this project, because I do think it's going to be quite big. We're going to put a timer on. I am going to try and debug them in real time if they're asking for any requests. And yeah, we'll see. So let's start. Do Claude first, and we'll do that one. So we can really see both thinking quite quickly, side by side. This might be through. All right, so we can see Sonnet is just blazing past right now. It's already catching mistake. So it's already created the directory. Can we see that? Yep, already created the directory. Now it's creating the basic structure. I did give this quite a complex setup. I asked them both to make a monorepo. That's a bit different from just a normal standard Next.js application. So I'm actually kind of curious if it can follow instructions and make that one repo so it actually works when we're in the direct. So it is going to be interesting. Also, I wonder what the designs are going to be like, if it's going to follow the exact design or are they going to be slightly different. Very interesting. But Sonic is just blazing past everything. That is very quick. All right, it's installed. One thing also I want to check that this will actually pass back to the review and test agent. But yeah, we can see Sonic is just blazing fast, but it's making a lot of mistakes and it's at least trying to fix its mistakes. So we'll see if it actually fixes it. So it ran successfully. So in React DOM, interesting. Sonic seems to make a lot of mistakes that it's just correcting quite a bit. I know with Claude, I don't really always get that many mistakes if it's been specified. So Sonic seems to be done with at least getting the basic version working. So that was 5 minutes that it took. Now it's going to be working onto the models and design. Yes. Yeah, so it seems like Sonic is just reading through the documentation again, which is a bit confusing because it's done some of the UI, but it hasn't finished doing everything. So I wonder if it's stuck a little bit. We'll see. Or if it's using all the tasks to understand where it's at. Very interesting. You see Claude is just working through each one individually. It is built the dashboard. We know Sonic is already done with the dashboard. Okay, so it says says it's done. Okay, how long did that take? 8 minutes. I don't know if that's true. Right, let's just do a quick test. So on the left here, I will go into F1, and I'll just list that just to make sure. We're just going to ppm install just to make sure everything is installed. So we're going to just pm should run div. That should start it up. We can see this is the dashboard here. So we're just going to open this up and we can see it is it's not done. It's only got one. It's got database, source, it's got all of this. This is not working. All right, so it did not finish. So this is right. So we're gonna let that carry on so we can see Sonic made some mistakes. So it sees the problem now. I'm kind of curious, is Claude making the same mistake? Claude is it's actually working through that quite well so far. It's good to see. Claude's still very far behind. It seems like it still wants to do the APIs and all of that. And Sonic says it's done, but I don't know if that's really the case. I'll have to check the code. But I'll be doing user testing. It didn't do unit testing, so it's not following the code base prompts very well. But I feel like Claude's going to do it quite a decent job. All right, so it says it is done again. And that's in 14 minutes. So let's have a quick check. So let's run this again. This is clear, and we'll let that start. And this is the email was demo, and I believe, what else did it say? 1, 2, 3. Okay. It's a .com. No, okay, so no data. Well, at least all's working. No data. Right, so I feel like Sonic is like the energetic young kid in the room that just wants to do the work, but it's not actually checking anything is done. And if you're a senior dev, it feels like you've given a task to a junior, you do a first sentence, and then they forget the rest of the stuff that you tell them, and they just do the minimal thing. Let's just wait to see. So how long is going past now? So 60 minutes. This is definitely, I just realized the metaphor for this race. It's pretty much the hedgehog versus the turtle right now. That's how I feel. The turtle's going very slow, and the rabbit in this case is just like blitzing through, but tripping on a ditch, running into a curve, and is getting a bit disorientated because it actually doesn't know where the finishing line is. And I'm like the paramedic on the side trying to guide it to the finishing line. And we're just watching Claude here, the turtle, to slowly get through every single checkpoint. I could be completely wrong, but just being coding with Claude, it seems to always do a decent job. All right, so Claude's done the API and the service layer. Now it's going to go on to the UI, and the time is 18 minutes, nearly 19 minutes. So it took Claude a bit of time to run through all of that. And I just feel like I look at Sonnet, it's just like, you're doing some things right, but I know I saw a post the other day. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it, but are we just using AI to create more code so we can debug more than ever before, making us more relevant than ever before? Because I think like some coding is really great when you structure and guide it correctly, but if you just don't have any oversight, it just runs amok, and the mess it creates is just so big you feel like it's better to start off anew than fix stuff. I also wonder if we're moving to a place where code is basically disposable. And I think someone else said it was like it's be moving into this fast fashion kind of mentality where things can just be used and abused and then thrown away. And I think for the bigger systems, I don't think that's the case. Like when you're working with like millions and millions of data or millions of rows of data, don't really think that way, especially if you're trying to measure your performance stuff. You can't do those risks. For like the smaller companies, I think it's definitely going to be the case. It's just going to be like fast fashion. Don't like this app, build a new one or build a new section. And, I think no, I think of like I love the data engineering term of data governance, and I think if you stop putting in terms of like code governance in the same of like AI era, I think that's kind of where we're going. But anyway, so Sonic says it's done, ready to test again. This is running here, but I think it's not. But I think this is still running, but I might have to restart it. So let's just go here and restart because it did a build, and let's just see if that works. All right, see if it remembers us logging in. Oh, we got a dashboard. Solid white line. I love seeing that. And nothing really else. Yeah, thanks, Sonnet. It can't take images, so I can't give it its image. All right, so after 22 minutes, Sonic has not really made much progress from that 8-minute mark. No, what garbage that is. Again, this could just be I'm so used to prompting for Claude, and that's why Claude might have the upper game here. But I would think it would be a little bit better than that. As we see, Claude is pretty much done. It needs to do the session, or then it's going to be testing the setup, and then CI/CD pipeline, security hardening, and developer documentation. Doesn't actually need to do at least last 3 steps for the MVP, but it is in there. Would you like me to continue with the optional feature? Yes. So we are at 26 minutes now. The first check is again to see if it actually works and even looks decent. Then I'll have to review the code. Sonic says it's done again at 26:45. So we're gonna just restart the server just to make sure, and we're just gonna run back to our instance here, see how it looks. Stunning as anything you could imagine. I've kind of given hope on Sonic's artistic skills. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with this. Okay, so we can see on the right here, Claude is starting to run some tests where Sonic never built any tests, even though it specifies it needs to do those tests. So I think this is where we're getting that confirmation that it doesn't seem to follow instructions very well. Maybe it's very good for simple tasks. All right, so we are closing on 30 minutes. Claude seems to be coming closer to the finishing line than Sonic. Right, it's doing its final build, so it is coming in quite on par with Sonic right now. Right, so we can see it's delegating to the task agent. Right, so Claude is finished, and so is Sonic at 33. So let's go back here. We'll first start up Sonic. We will run LPM here. We'll go here. This will be apps 2. I think it's apps 2, right? Then we'll just go PM and run dev. All right, moment of truth. So this one's using port 3005. So there's a lot of ports running. This one, okay, so it did some big improvements at the end. Styling is not really the best, but we can guide it. Didn't really put any functionality in that I hoped. And content, yeah, the filters don't work. So it didn't really follow anything. 45 minutes, and then I'm going to stop this test. So I think that's long enough for both of these. All right, so this one says I need to go to demo, the Claude version to see everything. So this is the Claude 1. I probably just need to restart Let's just start the Claude one, which was in the right here. All right, looking at the Claude, this is reloaded to make sure. It says a demo, but I don't know if that was correct. Okay, so this is demo mode. Don't know what the difference was, but we can see there's a different graph here, some dummy data that we talked. So the buttons, are white, but other than that, all right. Don't see, so there's no content still. So we can see when we threatened Sonic here, it really started trying to do some tests and get things working. I don't know why it would remove everything. Why do that? It's going to cause more issues. Yeah, why you remove? Okay, so we can see Sonic is cheating now to pass its build test. I want to know if it's going to put these back in. All right, so we can see Claude Sonnet is finishing. It's done its tests. So we've seen it run its tests. So it says it's got all the pages, and Sonic is still going. It's just very good. All right, so it's on 432 now. So content is there. Search works. So nothing. All right, so then tasks in progress. So it does like a deferred. Interesting. Here, so that's at least working. Create a task. Okay, that button doesn't work. All right, so got somewhere, but we can see the UI is not really great. But I think this is down to my prompting. I didn't give it a very explicit prompt for how the UI should be styled. I think I'll go in a different video on how to really do that. But for the most part, all right, not great, but this isn't a very different type of app for what's useful. Email notifications, yeah. Let's see if Sonic is done yet. It is not done. Did it add those back yet? No. So we can see Sonic is just spinning out of control. I'm going to stop the video there. That's after, nearly an hour. All right, just to recap. So we kind of saw how Sonic and Claude Sonnet was working side by side each other with the same similar specs. So in the end, they kind of were very similar in terms of the UI perspective. I didn't go into much of the UI prompting, so that's on me. But I wanted to see how much you could follow instructions, especially working in a monorepo, which not many of these large language models are like trained on. They're more trained for a single repo, so they don't have to worry about managing all these different packages and putting them in the right place. But for the most part, we saw Sonic just ignored that, and gave us, hey, I've done testing and nothing was working. Where we saw Claude Sonnet 4 really work through each step incrementally and try to give us the best result. It did miss a few pages. One thing that I could have done better, but I rejected it from this testing scenario, is where you make it edit the actual task file itself to say it's completed after each task. And that way you get a lot better result. But I didn't want to do that because they were both referencing the same task file. In hindsight, I probably could have given both their own directories, own task files, and did it done that way. But for the most part, what I'm seeing is Sonnet is really good at quick, rapid code generation. I think you have to limit its scope. So you can't give it too much complex tasks, maybe honing in on like a function, and really maybe do the incremental task validation that you probably could use like Claude for Sonnet for review, and maybe use Sonnet as the coder and let Sonnet spit out the code and then Claude for Sonnet review it. Maybe I'll try that on the next bit. But this is so this has just been a quick look at the new hidden secret model Sonnet versus Claude Sonnet 4. For the most part, I think Sonnet is all right. I don't see it really great for very complex coding tasks, so be as what it may. So in this video, we saw the difference between Sonnet and Claude Sonnet 4, and we see Sonnet's really good at pumping out code, but not really great at following instructions. So I think you really have to bring the chunk sizes down for Sonnet, and then maybe get a smarter model like Claude for Sonnet for enough to maybe review its code, and maybe you'll get a faster development experience and go like that. I think you can't really leave Sonnet by itself. I just saw so many deviations from the spec. So it does not follow instructions, so I would not trust it. So really double check Sonnet's code a lot more. I definitely felt this was like watching the rabbit versus the tortoise. Pretty much go side by side. But yeah, I hope you found this video useful and it gives you a bit of insight into the new secret model. And if you do want to try Sonnet yourself, install OpenCode and go to the models page and put it in. Also, I'd love to know what you would like me to go into more next. I'm really going to be focusing on AI development and AI tools with this channel. It's something I'm passionate about, and I'm doing it actually for my current work, where I have to test different AI tools and see which ones are even valid to come in and bring into production use. And how do we control what we use it for and what we don't. And also just to simplify certain dev protocols. I do think we are moving into an era where the IP of your business is the most important, where code is becoming less and less relevant. And you kind of want to protect the IP more than the code generation part. But that's just my stakes on what's currently happening. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.